Hello everyone, and welcome to another edition of Paul's Cinema Picks of the Week. My name is Paul Westbrook, Brantford's film enthusiast, and today we're going to talk about the series of films Nightmare on Elm Street. Yes, in 1994, Wes Craven and Robert Shaye collaborated on a film about a psychotic killer, but not just any psychotic killer. This man had been burnt by a mob of people, and lived on a street called Elm Street. Yes, we're going to be talking about Freddy Krueger and Nightmare on Elm Street, and some of the influence that Freddy Krueger has had on people has been tremendous. You wouldn't think that a movie like that would actually impact people as far as it did, because it was just like a simple little horror film, horror slasher. See what I did there? And no, as it went along, Freddy actually entered the pop culture market and became one of the more popular horror monsters. Kind of like what when Dracula and Frankenstein and the Mummy, what they did in the 30s. Freddy and Jason Voorhees and all that. I'll be talking about Jason in another edition of Cinema Picks. But yeah, he actually broke the barriers, the culture barriers, and actually became an icon unto itself, which is, again, strange for a horror villain who's supposed to be evil, but people actually gravitated to him, so he became immensely popular. But we're not here to talk overly about the popularity so much as we are the films themselves. Okay, so I'm going to start off with this one here. You getting this one here, Seth?
Yep.
Okay, that's Nightmare. This is a 4-film favorite set, and it's on the first 4 Nightmare on Elm Street films here. The first Nightmare on Elm Street movie, which came out in 1984, and starred Heather Langenkamp and Robert Englund, of course, who played Freddy, and Nancy, respectively, was that, unlike the different ones, it was actually a super serious type movie. Like, they actually made Freddy a super serious, almost scary character. And as the series went on, it became more wisecracks and jokes and stuff, so you heard Freddy starting to tell jokes as he was killing people. But in the very first film, it was actually made super seriously, and Freddy was actually scary. And all things considered, that the movie was, for its time, revolutionary. Wes Craven said he actually based the character of Freddy upon a scary-looking man that he had met back when he was a kid. And the man sort of had that look, and it impressed upon the young Wes Craven so much that eventually that's how Freddy came to be conceived through that the recesses of his memory, and then Wes Craven actually came up with the concept of a man that was scary, had a green and red sweater, and a hat, one of those very unkempt hats that a lot of homeless people would have. And they just added the elements of Freddy had been burnt by the mob of Elm Street and came back and entered people's dreams. And that's how he would kill people, through their, when they'd sleep. Freddy would slash them, do all manners of horrible, evil things to these kids, and kill them sort of as a revenge for what the parents had done to him. And Heather Langenkamp plays the part of Nancy in this one. Nancy's father is a police officer. He works in the police force, and Nancy's like your typical teenage girl and stuff like that. And when her friends start getting methodically killed one by one, she takes upon herself to try and stop Freddy the best that she can. And yeah, like I said, this one wasn't really cheesy. It was actually more of the serious horror film type.
Wasn't Johnny Depp introducing
Johnny
that
Depp
one?
actually did star in it.
I wanted to point that out because I remember that fact from a different when we did a Johnny Depp and John Candy.
When we did that one, yes, Johnny Depp actually made his debut in Nightmare on Elm Street. He's the boyfriend of Nancy, who's actually killed when his bed basically collapses on him, and there's a big shower of blood that comes out and hits the ceiling, all that stuff. And it was kind of an inauspicious debut for Depp, because at the time I think he had just been doing 21 Jump Street, and then he came into the mainstream through the means of being in this film. But yes, Nightmare on Elm Street itself went on, and it did reasonably well at the box office. Like, I mean, a lot of horror films, for some reason, they don't get that really good rap. They get this really bad rap, actually. They get a bad rap at being cheesy and contrived and overly done. And I like to think that they had their audience. Like, every horror film or slasher film has its audience, just like any film, like comedy, drama, sci-fi, whatever. And yes, Nightmare on Elm Street was one of the benchmarks in the horror slasher genre as the 80s started coming in. Okay, in Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge. Freddy comes back, I guess, for revenge, hence the name of the title of the movie. And in this one, there's a boy named Jesse who's actually possessed by Freddy Krueger himself. Freddy's inside this boy and then makes him do all sorts of the evil things. And, of course, Jesse's girlfriend is the one that tries to make sense and tries to help him as much as they can. And then they try to solve why Freddy's there and how to get rid of him, etc., you know, all that other stuff. And, yeah, this Freddy, this was a little different. There was a lot of difference in the part 2 as opposed to part 1. Like, there's some bit of controversy, so I guess they said, because of the innuendos in the movie lean towards, male and so on and so forth. So there's a bit of that innuendo, and that's what they actually refer to as a gay Nightmare on Elm Street movie. I don't know why they would call it that, but I never really noticed it when I first saw it anyway. But yeah, it's a great movie. I thought it was really good. It was certainly well done. Robert Englund started to bring more of the jokes into the Freddy Krueger character as he went along. So this was the one where they lightened it up a bit, because the first one was so somber and dark, and then they lightened it up for part 2. But at the same time, it holds its own and is one of the better and fun films out there. And like I said, certainly may not be on par with the first film, but at the same time, it's a film that you can enjoy just the same, even if you haven't seen the first one. Okay, now let's get on to Freddy 3, Nightmare on Elm Street, Dream Warriors.
Yeah.
My sister loves that movie, right?
Yes, I do.
That's her favorite one, and that's the one where you bring the Elm Street kids together as characters, like different characters. And each of them, for some reason in their dreams, they have these fantastic powers. So they band together, and hopefully they try to destroy Freddy, but of course Freddy's always one step ahead of the people, because you have to. He's the main character. So yeah, if Freddy's going to be your main character, you can't have all the other characters just get rid of him right away, right? It wouldn't be much of a movie.
Mm-hmm.
And this one also marks the return of Nancy, as played by Heather Langenkamp. This time she's more of a counselor for the kids, where she helps she works with the kids and tries to help them, because they're actually in this mental place.
Mental health facility.
Asylum. I don't know how to say it, but yes, they're in an asylum, and together they try to understand each other's dreams more. And there's Nancy and Craig Wass, I guess that's his name. He plays the guy that's with her.
And it does get a little kind of backstory as to who Kruger is.
Yes. So we actually get that for the first time. We get to hear a little bit more about Kruger's background.
His mom.
The mom, and you hear about some of the other inmates in this place. And, yeah, because it wasn't really explained either in the first two previous films, and so you get to actually get more of an insight into the Kruger character itself, which I believe helps move the story along too. But it was good, and the VHS I first got had the Dream Wars theme song. It was like the music video.
Yeah, I remember.
The group Dawkins. That was the name of the group, Dawkins. They came up with the music video for Dream Wars. Then, after Nightmare 3 was in the theaters for a while, and in the collective conscience of the filmgoers, it faded. Then out came Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Warriors, where we sort of start off with continuing from Part 3 a little bit, like with some of the characters that may or may not have survived in the first film, in that previous film, came back, and then you're introduced to the character of Lisa's character. Like, she was played by Lisa Wilcox. And Alice, that was the name. Sorry, I had to remember this for a second there. But yes, the character of Alice is played by Lisa Wilcox. She's the young lady that stands up to Freddy and has to continue the fight with the Elm Street kids. I guess they failed to do. I'm not sure. I'm just trying to say it without giving any spoilers away for anybody that hasn't seen it. But yeah, in Part 4, Alice, she's like the biker. Well, she's the mild-mannered girl that's thrust into having to fight Freddy. So she wears her boyfriend's jacket, I think it is, the black leather jacket, and she goes into to fight Freddy. And of course, Freddy proves to be even more formidable than he's ever been. So that one was one of the better ones. I wouldn't say it's an improvement over 3, as I would say that it's a good companion piece to 3. So Nightmare on Elm Street 4 was on my list of films that I actually enjoyed, and of the entire series. Okay, moving along, we have Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5. The Dream Child. You gotten this here?
Yep.
The Dream Child. This one continues Alice's story. This is the one that continues the story where, I guess Alice is pregnant, she's going to have a baby, and, of course, they bring even more of the story of Freddy Krueger into being, Apparently his mother was a nun, and she was accosted by 100 maniacal people at an insane place where she...
They say that in 3.
They say it in 3, yeah. I think they still mention it a little bit in 5. 3 is where they really mention it, but yeah, 5. And you get even more of the jokester Freddy in this one. In fact, at one point, he's in a dream sequence, he comes off as Super Freddy. So you knew the series was starting to get a little cheesier as it went along, but at the same time, it was still good. I enjoyed Robert Englund's performance in this one tremendously, as I did in all the films that he did, because Englund was an excellent Freddy Krueger, and regardless of the camp of the piece, it was still done very well, and may not have done overly good at box office, but then again, a lot of the Hollywood bigwigs, they don't really view horror films. For some reason, they don't view horror films as the profitable and reasonable means of getting more money. No, because horror movies, to them, I guess they consider it lowbrow. Because in the case of lot of horror movies today because, you know, you get sequel after sequel after sequel after sequel and after sequel. So you get more sequels, and after a while it just comes off as repetitive and formulaic. So, all the same, Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child, I enjoyed, certainly. It was a great way to continue the series and keep it going. You get more of the usual, Freddy kills this person, that person, this person, that person, and then you figure this was, at the time they made this, they said this would be the last one, but apparently it wasn't, as you'll soon see. Here we have Freddy's Dead, the final nightmare. The final, it's supposed, evil has finally met its match. Freddy Krueger faces off against, again, a child psychologist. Yeah, it says here in the back, it says, Lisa Zane, the actress, plays the part as a child psychologist tormented by recurring nightmares. And then she meets the patient with the same horrific dreams, and then thus her quest has all these answers that they need to hear. And in this one, you actually see the origin of Freddy Krueger. You go to the backstory, the whole story of why Freddy became what he did. They actually did that in a series called Freddy's Nightmares, which I have at home, by the way. I have this series called Freddy's Nightmares, and they tell the whole origin of Freddy Krueger, like how he started, and how he got the burnt face, and how he became the supernatural killer that he later became. Because, yeah, that's the thing. In this, as it went along, they start to add the supernatural elements to the Nightmare on Elm Street series, so making it more into the realm of fantasy and sort of, let's just say that, as opposed to just the killer part. You got to hear a little more about the forces that drive and possess Freddy, believe it or not, to do what he does. So you get to see more of that. This one had a couple of cameos. It had Tom Arnold, it had Roseanne Barr, the one from the Roseanne series, and also had Alice Cooper in it, believe it or not. You have to look for him in this one. But yeah, he's in this movie as well. And this one was actually done in 3D. They actually did the 3D, like the last sequence was actually done in 3D, so you get to be a part of Freddy's final battle and demise, or so you think. But yeah, this is what I got. I went to the theater to see this one. This was the first one I really saw at the show, and I was impressed. I thought it was well done. I thought it certainly was a movie that entertains, and that's the main thing, as long as it entertains. So yes, here you have Freddy's Dead, the final nightmare, and Freddy would be done. That is, until Wes Craven's New Nightmare. And this is the one I really liked when I went to the theater to see this one. I liked this one because in this one, it's Freddy Krueger enters into the real world. That's what the storyline is. It's like the actors play themselves in the movie. Wes Craven also actually is in it as Wes Craven. Nope, she's not Nancy in this one. She's Heather Langenkamp, the actress. Yet the same name as she is in real life. So it's like, what would happen if Freddy came into the real world, outside your dreams, and into the real world? What would happen? And that bit of fantasy alone is what drew me into this one, this series. And says on the cover there, you see that okay? It says, this time staying awake won't save you. So all the rules of the previous movie, forget them. Because you have to see this one here. It breaks all the rules and then some. And I thought it was fascinating mixing the fantasy and reality elements together, like having Wes Craven talk to Heather and hearing Heather referred to her as her own name instead of Nancy. And John Saxon is in it, of course, as John Saxon. And yeah, and they put the elements of the Hollywood thing, and it helps you understand the movie industry as well. So you get they put the Hollywood atmosphere into this movie, and I thought it was excellent. And of course, have to see what happens at the end because I don't give spoilers. But let's just say up to that point, you get a lot of action in the film, and the usual, I guess, killings that Freddy always does. So I would definitely look for this one, Wes Craven's New Nightmare, and see for yourself, and maybe we can hear some of your comments, what you think of it. And finally, we have Nightmare on Elm Street. No, I didn't get the same film. You can see that one too, Asa?
Oh, yeah.
This is the remake.
I need a copy of that.
This is the remake with Jack Earl Haley as Freddy. No, believe it or not, Robert Englund actually didn't do Freddy in this one. And I couldn't figure out why. I know a lot of people, they're so devoted to the Robert Englund movies, so when this one came out, they didn't really give it much of a chance.
I did.
But we watched it, and what did you think of it?
I liked it. I had a copy of it, but I need another copy of it.
Like, it's good. It's a really good film. If you can put aside the fact that Robert Englund's not in it, and it's a different actor playing the part, and they wanted to make Freddy's face look more burnt, like how a real burn victim would look.
Mm-hmm.
So they did that, and I think they came up with something that was original. I think they came up with something that entertained and captivated you, and you certainly looked at as a film that you could actually enjoy. And yes, to be honest, I enjoyed the Nightmare film as well, this reboot. And currently today, there's no more reboots right at the moment on Nightmare on Elm Street, so certainly wouldn't be in this. If England's been trying to get the chance to play him one last time. He wants to get to play the part of Freddy Krueger again. So he's been talking to people like at New Line Cinema and people that he knows about maybe doing one more Freddy Krueger, so we'll have to wait and see. But at the same time, yes, this one was reasonable. It was entertaining. It kept my interest. It certainly wasn't boring, let's put it this way. It certainly wasn't boring, but it's a different take on Freddy Krueger. And it's up to you to make up your mind which ones you actually like, if you like Englund or you like Jack Earl Haley. And there you go on the Nightmare on Elm Street.
And you gotta know the nursery rhyme for Freddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell them where I go. Do you remember?
You can do it if you want.
You don't remember it?
Yeah, 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. 3, 4, better lock the door. 5, 6, grab your crucifix. 7, 8,
stay up late. 9, 10, never sleep again.
Which, good point, brings me into the documentary, which is called Never Sleep Again. The Elm Street Legacy, the ultimate nightmare documentary on 2 discs. And Wes Craven says here, it's a grand tour of the Nightmare Legacy and the people who helped to make it real.
Ah, that's about it.
Yeah, we thank Wes for this. We do thank Wes for this one because it's a definite account. It says that you talk interviews with the various people that did the Nightmare on Elm Street films, and and then you got some bonus features here. You got Horror's Hallowed Ground Return to Elm Street, Expanding the Elm Street Universe, and Nightmare on Elm Street in 10 minutes. Try to figure that one out. Music of the Nightmare, conversations with composers and songwriters, and much more. But yes, you get to talk to many of the people that made Nightmare on Elm Street possible, like Englund and Heather Langenkamp and Wes Craven. And even, like I said, Alice Cooper, who was in the Part 6, Clu Gulager, John Saxton. Yeah, he was the one that played Nancy's dad. And Jennifer Rubin. My friend Darren actually picked this up for me because he knew I liked Nightmare on Elm Street. So he was nice enough to pick this up for me. Darren Runny, thank you very much. See, there's a name drop for you there. And thank you so much for giving me this. So that was a little bit of our look into the entire Nightmare on Elm Street series, which I wanted to do. I always wanted to do a show where it's covered the whole series. I think we did it pretty good. So.
Yeah.
That was 7 films. Yes, actually 7 films plus the reboot, plus the Never Sleep Again documentary, which talks about Nightmare on Elm Street. And Nightmare on Elm Street continues to this day to be a very popular film in the mainstream, and people still love it. So, with that being said, this is Paul Westbrook reminding you to like and subscribe to the channel. Remember to leave some comments in the bottom part at the comment section, which is below the video here. So that way we can hear what you liked and didn't like, or hopefully you liked most of it. And thank you very much for listening. And I'm ready to go to our live show now. But for now, I'll be seeing you at the movies.